Hello and welcome to the Actual Tech Media EcoCast. My name is Jess and I am excited to be here with you all today. But before we jump into our content, I have some basic information that I want to cover with you. All right, let's kick off our day here today by taking a quick tour of your audience console. And we're going to start with the questions window. So if you haven't already said hi, there is a whole audience of cool humans out there, so reach out and give a wave to the other members of the Actual Tech Media community. Now, keep in mind that if you do have any technical issues today, a browser refresh is going to fix just about anything. But if those tech gremlins are clinging on today, no problem. Just throw a comment in the question section and our crew will be there to help. We also want this to be an informative webinar for you, so throughout today's EcoCast, we hope you'll get engaged and ask all your burning questions. Not only will we have team members responding to you over a live chat, we will also have a dedicated Q&A session at the end of our presentations. Now, if we don't get to your question during the live webinar today, don't worry, because the awesome experts that we have here with us will be following up after we wrap. All right, next up, there's going to be lots of cool aha moments on the EcoCast today. And if you want to share those with your community, we've made it nice and easy for you. You can use the Twitter button right there in your audience console, and the hashtag for today's EcoCast will be automatically added to your post. All right, our last stop on this guided tour, be sure to check out the handouts tab for some awesome resources and takeaways from our speakers here today. We have an info pack collection, solution briefs, white papers, data sheets, free trials, ebooks, upcoming webinars, and more. So many great resources, so be sure to go explore. Now, if that wasn't enough fun, we also have some exciting prizes that we'll be giving away throughout today's EcoCast. I'm going to tell you a bit more about those later on, but a few quick reminders for you all. First, you do need to be here live in attendance at the EcoCast in order to qualify to win a prize, and we will follow up with all of you after we wrap. Now, all winners must submit an IRS Form W-9 to Actual Tech Media, and all winners must meet the Actual Tech Media prize terms and conditions. Now, if you don't know what those full T's and C's are, that's fine. We've got the full thing for you. Just head on over to that handouts tab, click in, scroll down to the bottom, and you'll find them waiting for you there. Now, the absolute most important thing to remember is that we love getting all your insightful questions during these live webinars. In fact, we love it so much that we actually have a special additional prize for all you inquisitive folks out there. So in today's EcoCast, we will be giving away a prize for the best question asked in each of our live sessions. Now, the expert speakers and teams will review all questions asked after we wrap the webinar, which means that even if your question does not get read out in a live session, there is still a chance to win. If you are a lucky winner here today and you would like to donate the value of your prize, we have several wonderful organizations that we partner with. So let us know when we follow up about your big win, and we'll get that rolling for you. Again, we are so happy to have you all here with us live at the EcoCast today, and we want to keep that good feeling going, so let's connect on social media. Reach out and connect with Actual Tech Media on Twitter and on LinkedIn. We have lots of great content, and we always want to hear from you. Now, if you're looking for more awesome content and resources right after we wrap the EcoCast today, be sure to subscribe to the Actual Tech Media channel on YouTube. Another fun way to win a prize and, hey, grow this awesome community is to refer an industry friend or a coworker to the Actual Tech Media webinar series. Now, you'll find a link to do that right in your handouts tab, and you will also be automatically redirected at the end of the webinar. And both you and your coworker or friend could win a prize, and we hold those drawings every month. So be sure to refer a friend because, it could quite literally be a win-win situation. Next, we have a cool opportunity for all the decision makers out there to get connected with new and emerging tech and innovative vendors. Here's how it works. All you need to do is click on the link in your handouts tab, fill out a quick application, and the Actual Tech crew will then match you with some vendors that we think you should probably be chatting with based on your needs. There will also be fun opportunities that you get to choose to join in, like surveys, test runs, new solutions, extended demos, and so on. You'll get some chances to win extra prizes, you'll chat with great people, and you'll learn about the hottest new trends in tech. So be sure to apply, or hey, send that link to a decision maker on your team. Now, I want to take a quick minute here to remind you all about one of my favorite resources, and that is ransomware.org. You can find out everything you need to know about ransomware, how to prepare, prevent, and recover. This site is jam-packed with information, helpful tips, checklists, strategic approaches, case studies, everything you need in one place. So wherever you are in your ransomware preparedness journey, there is something for you at ransomware.org. Go check it out and start exploring. All right, I have one more exciting resource I have to tell you about today, and that is the Gorilla Guide Book Club. It's going to give you access to free enterprise IT books authored by top industry experts, so you can stay up to date on trending enterprise technology. And yes, these books will work on your Kindle, your mobile device, and as I said, they are completely free. You can download these awesome resources at gorilla.guide, and there's a link for you in that handouts tab as well. All right, well, we have covered a lot of important things already, and I don't know about you all, but I am excited to dive in. So let's get going.
All right, folks, it is time to jump into the good stuff here because today we are talking about supporting, extending, and protecting virtualized and containerized environments. I'm so excited to get into this conversation with all of you today because this is such a quickly evolving necessity for organizations looking for the best way to store and protect their data, which, as we know, there is an exponential increase of data every day. Fortunately, we have top experts here with us from Scale Computing and from Rubrik who are going to guide us through this exciting conversation. I know you are all ready and pumped up to get started, so we'll get rolling here with just a few last bits of info and then get our speakers on out here with us. My name is Mackenzie Puddesy, and I am the newest moderator here at Actual Tech Media. This is my first ever EcoCast where I am at the helm of the ship, so I'm counting on all of you to wish me luck and to make sure we have smooth sailing today. Just in case I steer us off course, my friends and fellow moderators Jessica Steinbach, Scott Becker, and Keith Ward are here with us on live chat today. Nice to meet you, and thank you for being here. I know that having me as your moderator is pretty exciting, but as a yes and kind of person, I've got some more exciting news for you. I've got prizes. Today on the EcoCast, you could win one of three $300 Amazon gift cards that we will be giving away to 3 lucky winners who are here, present, and live with us at the EcoCast. And as mentioned in the housekeeping chat this morning, you can find the full T's and C's linked in the handouts tab if you have any questions about that. And hey, with that, we are ready to rock. Up first, I'm so excited to introduce our keynote speaker, Melissa Palmer, who will be enlightening us on this topic and setting the stage for today. Thanks for being with us here, Melissa. Why don't you go ahead and kick things off?
Thanks so much, Actual Tech Media team. I am so excited today to join you for this EcoCast, where we're going to focus on 2 of my favorite areas, virtualization and containerized environments. We're going to go a little bit further than that because we're going to look at strategies to support, extend, and protect these environments and be introduced to some wonderful technology partners that can help us with just that. So, virtualization and containerization. Some of you might be wondering why we put these 2 topics together, right? Virtualization has been around for a very long time, and containerization is a newer technology that really kind of started going crazy as we kind of moved into the DevOps kind of era, right? But if you break down the 2 technologies, it's about the same thing. At the end of the day, we're abstracting resources, and these are a huge, huge, huge benefit in our environments today because we can make the most out of that underlying hardware or use the public cloud or a private cloud, right? We can make the most of the resources like compute, network, storage, etc. by leveraging technologies like virtualization and containerization. When containerization first started coming around, it was like kind of this pets versus cattle thing, right? Everybody was still taking care of their virtual machines like they were super special, and no one really cared about a container because it was much more stateless and we just cared about our data, right? So we've seen virtualization kind of catch up to that in the last several years. And at the end of the day, it's really about our data and how our applications are performing, right? We're not necessarily as concerned about is it a VM or a container because we're getting a lot of the same benefits of these things. And the hallmark features are really enhancing utilization of resources, ease of use and scalability. And this is popular on-prem, in the cloud, or a hybrid environment today. So let's talk about some of the challenges we can face in these environments. And it really boils down to a couple things. Managing performance, operations and day-to-day management, and of course, security, which is a huge component of being able to protect these environments in the event of data loss, disaster, or cyber attack. Now, this isn't a change from really any other environment we've ever talked about, and it shouldn't be surprising, because even when we talk about the most modern technologies, the same problems persist kind of throughout the end of time. Yes, we want to be in an environment that's easy to manage. We want to make sure that we can scale seamlessly when we need to, and we want to make sure that our performance is good so we can provide a service to our end users. And security has always been top of mind, but in the last, maybe 5 years or something, it's really become even more forefront with the rise of ransomware. So let's take a look at some of these issues and things we should be thinking about to mitigate these issues. So strategies for enhancing performance. We want to fine tune our virtualized and container environments for the best performance, of course. Like, how is that any different than anything, right? It's really important to have really good monitoring and analytics tools and be able to observe our environment as a whole and see how it operates. We want to be able to make sure that when we do need to allocate additional resources, we're doing it in a way that's almost a little proactive, right? We don't want to hit that resource contention and then all of a sudden have to realize, oh no, we have to go manually scale our environment to make it run right. No, we want really everything to work seamlessly. And with these technologies, it's really easy to add or remove resources on the fly, whether we're over or underutilized. And if we're in the public cloud, this could be really important for cost as well. But in order to do this, we need data from good tools to tell us, hey, we're going to reach a contention point, et cetera, so we can kind of make these motions. This also ties into operations management, because we want to make sure that we're using the right tools for the job and all our staff are trained on them for this kind of seamless performance and management experience. And okay, this is 2024. If I didn't say ransomware, which I think I said already, I also need to say AI, right? You're going to hear the AI buzzword thrown in here a lot because it's not really a buzzword anymore, right? Truth be told, we can get some amazing benefits from AI assistance when it comes to managing workloads, right? Especially being able to proactively address things like performance peaks, be able to predict them, or be able to learn okay, on the third Tuesday of every month, we're going to have a spike. So the night before, we're going to scale up the environment. And then we really want to talk about scalability as well, because that's the second part of this, right? And it all ties back to management. We want to be able to use these same tools we're using on-prem and in the cloud when we're looking for modern solutions. And this is something we can keep in the back of our minds, right? I might be on-prem today, or I might be in the public cloud today, but tomorrow I could be wanting to take a hybrid approach. I could be wanting to go all in either on my on-prem environment, go back there, or just, all the way to the public cloud. So again, the tools that we use, it's really important to make sure that they're going to work with us no matter where and how we grow. So we talked a little bit about performance and scalability, which are really important aspects of containerized and virtualized environments. But what about protecting these workloads? Now, when I think about protecting workloads, I think of two different things. I think of protection from security threats, and then I think about protection from data loss. And they may or may not be the same thing, right? Security is really a multifaceted entity, and we want to make sure that we're securing, first and foremost, the infrastructure that supports our environment, the software we're running inside of it, and the data hosted in it, right? So these are things making sure that we're hardening our virtualization and container environments. We're keeping the software up to date so we can avoid vulnerabilities and nasty surprises like that. Like I said before, in the modern era, we're not as concerned about the VM or the container itself. We're more focused on the application and the data that run in it. But we're overlooking kind of the security layer for the infrastructure and the systems that run our workloads. There are a lot of really simple things we can do here. We need to follow good security practices. And my absolute favorite one that you've probably heard me talk about before is the principle of least privilege, right? And this is just simply making sure that the people who have access to the environment only have enough access to do their jobs. And if they don't need access to environment, do their jobs, they don't have access, right? We've seen a lot of multi-factor, even authentication attacks where, someone spammed someone's cell phone with a link for MFA and they just clicked it so they wouldn't be annoyed, but they also gave the person a way to get into the environment. So making sure that, okay, if I'm a backup administrator, I don't necessarily have the ability to go work on databases, really kind of reduce the risk and the attack surface. And we really just want to make sure that we're following good security practices from vendors and hardening our environments whenever possible. Now, the second piece of this is all about protecting our applications and our data within the environment. We need to prevent that unauthorized access so our data can't be stolen and we can't be extorted. But we also want to make sure that our data can't be deleted or encrypted, forcing us to pay the ransom, right? Like ransomware is one of the number one threats, and we do not want anything to do with that. And again, one of the most basic things you can do is really work on that access management to your environment. Now, virtualization and containerized environments are truly data-driven, but data protection is often overlooked. Once again, it's really important to pick the tools that are easy to use and that we can take advantage of, whether our environment is on-prem, in the cloud, and hybrid. And with today's shifting landscape, we want to future-proof that again. So if I want to come back on-prem, or I want to go more in the cloud, or I want that true hybrid approach, I want to be able to use the same tools with the same ease of use throughout the environment. So that's something really important to look at. And also, when we're talking about protecting our data, we also want to think of immutability. Very simply put, immutability means that our data, if it's in a mutable format, cannot be deleted and it cannot be modified, which means it can't be deleted and it can't be encrypted. So if the threat actors are kind of going in there and looking for our backups, looking to hit our data protection environment to force them to pay the ransom, we don't want them to be able to get to those backups. And this is where the hybrid approach can really come in handy too, because we might have multiple immutable copies of our data, one on-prem for fast recoveries, one in the cloud, kind of that break glass in case of fire thing. And if our environment is compromised, we are able to recover wherever we need to, whenever we need to. We don't want to pay that ransom. We don't want to deal with these security threats, and we want to make sure that everything is running as smoothly as possible. So let's recap this real quick. While virtualized and containerized environments are cutting edge technology, the issues we see are pretty much the same issues we've seen throughout the years. It really boils down to being able to support our environments and manage them from an operational standpoint. We want to be flexible and scalable to extend these environments as requirements dictate. And we need to be protecting our environments from both security threats and protecting the data within them. So we have an absolutely wonderful EcoCast plan for you today. It's packed full of technology partners to help you solve these common issues in your environments. Stay tuned and get ready to learn how to make the most out of your virtualization and container environments. And let's get started. Back to you, Actual Tech Media team.
Thank you so much, Melissa. That was fantastic as always. You were so engaging to listen to. Now, before we jump into our first session, we have a few questions for you all, just to be sure you're all awake and alive and enthusiastic out there. So essentially, we just want to know how soon or what's your time frame for adding new or updating existing IT solutions within virtualized and containerized environments. I'm going to leave that up there for just a second. Again, this is something we just like to know or get you thinking about, because sometimes you'll hear this information today and then all of a sudden you'll want to get a little bit more. And I'm seeing a lot of not sures here, which, that makes sense. A little bit of a split everywhere. And there we go. Alrighty. So I'm going to move on from there. It is my pleasure to introduce you to our first excerpt presenter in today's EcoCast, and you can see that we are starting things out strong here. Please welcome from the Scale Computing team, David Demlow, Vice President of Product Strategy. David, thank you for being here to kick us off on the EcoCast. I know you have some great stuff planned for the audience today, so I'll let you present and then I'll be back on for Q&A. Take it away, David. The floor is yours.
All right, awesome. Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. So want to talk about and kind of introduce the concept of building an application platform that is designed to support all types of workloads. Virtualized, containerized, and also in all sorts of different locations. Obviously spanning potentially public cloud to large data centers. and out even across the edge, as we're seeing a lot of the newer applications, things around AI/ML often drive further distribution of processing to support those kinds of applications. A quick little bit of background on scale computing. We were founded in 2008. We've been in this marketplace for a very long time. We launched our first hyperconvergence product back in 2012. And we were one of the first companies to really simplify managing on-premises data centers, combining storage, compute, virtualization, management into an appliance and a scale-out clustered appliance that was designed to, at that point, really focus on managing highly available virtual machines, but since has extended to supporting all types of applications, containers, Kubernetes, AI/ML, all the different types of things that you need to support, but really focusing on a couple of key things that are important, maximizing uptime. So being able to cluster commodity systems together, easily manage these systems as a single operational unit, improve operational efficiency. So again, let application teams and IT teams focus more on the applications and supporting and patching and updating and securing those applications versus carrying and feeding for hardware infrastructure, and ultimately reducing overall cost and providing that infrastructure. So to kind of set a groundwork, as I mentioned, our business really from day one, we've intended to focus across a wide range of infrastructure. And we have customers that utilize Scale Computing's platform product as their corporate centralized IT infrastructure, all the way out to a large recent focus, particularly on solving problems that extend out to the edge. So envision retail stores that have tens or hundreds or thousands of locations, or ocean-going vessels that have critical applications that they need to run without on-premises IT people, that need resiliency, that have intermittent connectivity. All the way from those kinds of use cases out to, again, that core centralized data center are areas that we are focusing on providing a platform for to deliver applications of any type. So particularly when you look at these edge environments, but really kind of any on-premises, you can run into various degrees of this. As I mentioned, you can have the issue of very limited or in many cases no IT staff. So you need infrastructure support that is able to run, basically care for itself wherever possible, maintain the availability and security of those applications. In a lot of these use cases, you may have physical constraints, size, power, cooling, things like that. So supporting a wide range of infrastructure deployment options becomes very critical to support and provide that single platform across different types of environments. You have to deal with connectivity and outages. So the concept in these distributed environments of having one central brain that controls everything just doesn't work. So we've designed our systems to run autonomously, without internet connectivity being a constant requirement. And then, one of the things that application teams and IT organizations and business units have become accustomed to with public cloud is the ability to quickly deploy new applications to deal with unpredictable demands. So you need to have, when considering this, kind of global application infrastructure, a design for how you can scale up your applications, how you can rapidly respond to new business needs and quickly deploy new applications, how you can quickly respond to security threats and make sure that you're securing and updating and patching these environments. So Scale Computing, our overall product solution is called SE Platform, or Scale Computing Platform. And it involves a number of key pieces. We'll talk a little bit more about it. But one of the key pieces is our HyperCore software system. So this is our hyperconvergent software that unifies, provides centralized resilient storage, compute resources, provides hypervisor capability to run VMs and other workloads, has integrated services like failover, like offsite disaster recovery, remote replication, all packaged and all managed in a really easy to manage and update solution that can run all of your applications. And we'll dig into some of the unique aspects and management concerns about different classes of applications. The other key piece that we want to highlight here is Scale Computing Fleet Manager. And this is the cloud-based software as a service solution that is designed to let you centrally manage, monitor, and control a potentially large fleet of these distributed hypercore systems, to let you put the computing wherever it is you need for those specific applications. And again, here we're talking about things that may be, centrally managed in a few larger corporate-owned data centers, maybe some cloud-based resources, maybe 10,000 retail stores that all need some on-premises computing as well. So we'll talk a little bit about that. So, let's kind of rewind on legacy applications and systems. Traditional virtualization addresses many of those challenges. It lets you consolidate multiple applications into shared resources, have fewer physical things to manage, to secure, to patch, to update, to lifecycle. And then generally as a result of that, what we generally see is customers that are, consolidating what, maybe 10 physical servers, just as an example, virtualizing those, centralizing them onto a highly managed, highly resilient platform for basically for free, getting that built-in resiliency where they have, high availability, failover, application independent backup and disaster recovery, greatly increased resilience just by the nature of consolidating those onto a much more solid platform. The ability to quickly scale up applications. I need more RAM for this new deployment. I need multiple VMs and behind my load balancer. Those are obviously things that can be accomplished very easily on a virtualized infrastructure. And then even the ability to scale out that infrastructure as your needs grow. We've since day one of our product really emphasized supporting the ability to mix and match different kinds of resources. So say, for example, coming down the line, you have a new application that, just requires tons of storage. You can add storage heavy nodes to an existing system and expand that way. If you need, GPU resources, you can add new resources to support, your GPU driven AI ML workloads, things like that, but still maintain that common platform management, that common platform monitoring, which is really key, and still maintain standardized deployment of not just the physical infrastructure, but of your applications. So we, provide important tools in terms of things like supporting infrastructure as code, where you can define your entire enterprise from the infrastructure down to specific applications and revision those using infrastructure as code tools. Automated deployment from the physical infrastructure itself. So we offer zero-touch provisioning, where you can, as soon as a system is ordered, even before it's been shipped out to a particular site, you can pre-configure that in our cloud-based fleet manager portal, so that when it shows up on site, anybody that can basically rack it or plug in power and Ethernet cable can turn on that system, have it phone home, and be automatically deployed, reducing complexity, reducing errors, for human deployment, and very quickly deploying, getting your applications up to a running state, and then also achieving hardware independence. Again, I talked about the ability to kind of mix and match those resources. Containerized applications, and cloud native is, kind of a broad term, really were a tremendous benefit in terms of, letting applications developers rapidly deploy, update, test applications, push out to clouds, get resiliency across multiple cloud regions. But they introduce some new challenges if you are especially talking about the edge and distributing it out to a large number of edge locations. Just the agility that you get is compounded when now I need to maybe deploy and revision an application across 10,000 sites as opposed to 3 cloud regions or things like that. But the advancements that they get are undeniable. We definitely see them being rapidly deployed out to the edge. But from the developer standpoint, there were maybe some assumptions about the infrastructure that don't always hold true. It's at least on the IT team to make sure that they're considering these and providing these. So, for example, resiliency is often assumed. I mean, in a public cloud, you take certain guarantees as just truth that are clearly different in a lot of these edge environments. Scale up, scale out is often just considered table stakes. So it's important to know, how can I rapidly deploy, scale out my applications, scale out my infrastructure. And obviously in the cloud or on the edge, it's not as easy as in the cloud of just, let me spin up these dynamic resources. It takes a little bit of planning, but it does take infrastructure that allows, that infrastructure to be basically reconstructed, remorphed, expanded as it's needed. Needs to be API and software driven. Again, infrastructure is code, and you need to design for it to be dynamically changing, with the end result being that for the application developers, the business units, it's much like the cloud, where nobody cares about the physical hardware that's sitting in a AWS or Azure data center. They care about the interfaces and the services. And that's a key thing when you're kind of looking at your overall corporate application delivery platform to keep in mind. And we help customers provide that same kind of infrastructure visibility to their application teams and business units. So this is, again, just another view of what it looks like. So kind of looking at it from the aspects of a couple of sites. Generally, we're deployed in a resilient cluster. That's not required. It can be a single node for applications that don't need that level of physical redundancy immediately. But here you see a 3-node cluster, which is a fully resilient configuration running side by side, containerized applications. Maybe it's computer vision, AI applications, legacy virtual machines doing various types of workloads. We've designed this to basically look at 2 different key personas or users of the system. So one is whatever the IT team, whoever's been responsible for care and feeding for that infrastructure, providing them that fleet manager control plane where they get monitoring, they can set policy, they can do centralized orchestration, they can work with existing tools like Ansible. We've invested quite a bit in making sure that our entire platform ecosystem is very automatable, desired state configuration through Ansible automation platform in particular, but we have APIs and integrations with other types of tools. So, that's kind of the infrastructure manager view of the world. And then from the application teams, making sure that they have their interfaces the way they're used to dealing with things. So whether it's, using GitOps and checking their artifacts in after a CI/CD pipeline into a container registry in a Git repo, we have the interfaces and the integration to be able to then deploy those applications as frequently as needed out to multiple edge-based systems, as well as we do find customers often have very opinionated platforms that they're using. Let's say Azure Arc, AKS, or Google Anthos, or AWS. All of those tools have extensions that can be distributed and run out to the edge, but have the applications controlled via those cloud control planes. So we've worked to make sure that our system, while we're managing that physical fleet of infrastructure, can tie into those existing developer tools, pipelines, and so on and so forth. And I think when you look at it, those are both kind of important things to look at, is maintaining that application teams and developers can keep using the tools that they're comfortable with and familiar with. The IT and operations teams, or the platform engineering teams, if you're going to that level of term, they have the tools that they need that's appropriate them to be that internal service provider to their application teams and business units. And again, what makes this all possible is something that we've been doing now for over 10 years, is this infrastructure that cares for itself. And to throw out the AI term, since I'm again obligated to do that, one of the key things we don't have really time to get into here is that our whole hypercore system was built on, from day one, an AI ops type of infrastructure that was designed to say, we're going to have a bunch of workloads we need to provide. We're going to have a bunch of resources to do computing and storage. Things are going to fail. Things are going to come and go. And design the system that can locally and autonomously make those changes, optimize the system with the resources that it has available to keep the applications up and running. And so that kind of self-healing, self-managing infrastructure is really, really key to being able to support these operational sites. And the end result, if this is all done well and offered to the business unit, is that you can provide cloud-like management for any locations, whether it's a distributed edge deployment, multiple data centers, hybrid cloud. You can maintain, provide your teams and your application developers with the availability, the scalability that they need, the automation that's required, both on the infrastructure management side and on the application deployment side. Still maintain ease of use, very cost effective, and in the end, have a very business-driven, business-centric solution for delivering and supporting your applications wherever they need to be run. And with that, I wanted to thank everyone for your time, and I think we'll have some time for questions.
All right. Thank you, David, for that awesome presentation. I do want to point out that I've put up a poll question for you all in the audience. We'd love to get your feedback on any additional resources that you'd like to explore from Scale Computing. Your feedback here is so valuable, so please do take a moment to answer that poll. And with that, yes, we've got quite a number of questions that have come through for you, Dave. So let's dive into it. First, can you provide examples of how native container support simplifies the deployment and management of containerized services?
Yeah, I mean, containers are, without getting too deep into the nuts and bolts, are amazing in that they both allow and force application development teams to isolate their application code from the data from the infrastructure. And so, one of the huge benefits of that is, automation that is just impossible or, impractical with very monolithic application stacks become possible and easy, and so things like, deploying new containers on an hourly basis is not an insane thing to do. Patching, the runtime, with containers, there's still an operating system. There's still the need for patching, being able to frequently update those without impacting your applications or your data become more possible. So the ability to, dynamically change all those things, all those pieces within the application stack independently, and do it in a code-driven, automated, repeatable way is really, kind of the key benefit there.
Amazing. I love how it's so quick, it's so adaptable, it's so intuitive. So I've got another question for you. This one's from Phil. What are the key advantages of shared resource pools in the context of edge applications?
Well, I mean, I do think that's generally where, higher consolidation. So, specifically when you think about very large, deployment environments, most of them, take, for example, retailers. We talk to retailers all day, and a lot of them, everyone, if it's a grocery store, they compare IT infrastructure costs to how much bananas, cost. And so, being able to very efficiently utilize those resources cost efficiently is very key. Just simplifying the management. I mean, one of the things we'll go into, I mentioned, the example of walking into, and this is, very typical, a manufacturing site or a retail store, and there's 10 different boxes, and you start asking, well, what does this box do? What does this box do? When was it deployed? When's the last time you've looked at the BIOS on that hardware? When's the last time you've updated the operating system and the application? Consolidating all that, and I guess, this is where it is platform specific. With the Scale Computing platform, we handle all that for you. So our system updates, when we have new capability, things like that, we're also updating the BIOS on the hardware that we support. We're updating our operating system stack, our virtualization stack, our container runtime, our management interfaces, our API. And by the way, it's all one single click, and on a multi-node cluster, it's with zero downtime. It's literally a rolling upgrade across the whole system that can be scheduled. It can be, initiated via automation, but those kinds of things are one of the advantages of centralizing and consolidating multiple applications onto a resilient platform like that.
That's great. And, I think you've touched a lot about how easy it is to use Scale software, how easy it is to manage. And so you might have touched a little bit you might have touched a little bit on this already. But we've got a question about can you share some insights into the developer-centric features that enhance the overall experience of the deploying, updating, and managing of your containerized services?
Yeah, I think I kind of covered it, but I mean, our goal is to, in general, let developers use tools that they're already used to. So however they're, developing, testing their applications, we want to make sure we can just plug into their existing pipelines and workflows. But secondarily, there may be some new capabilities that we can provide that, wouldn't be inherent, on just any other platform. And, things that I'm thinking of there would be things like, cloning that, and template management that we can do to help them quickly do, testing and, roll back, do canary deployments on, a subset of sites, get results back, stage deployments, things like that. Those are things that are kind of just inherently built into our platform as capabilities that don't necessarily apply if it's a single big data center, don't necessarily always apply in a cloud-based environment. Um, so there's some things like that that I think are new capabilities for developers to explore. In general, I guess just for some applications, making it some applications we've seen historically get forced into centralized cloud-based deployment, even when they're not the optimal experience or the optimal cost, or now you're forced to deal with latency of going from some location to a central cloud, doing some processing, getting things back. So the freedom to, without kind of having to care about where things are running, design your application for the best experience, and then let the platform deliver those pieces in the right places. I think that's probably ultimately the biggest benefit for the developers and the application, the organizations that use those applications.
That's awesome. Okay, I think we have time just for maybe one or two more questions here. But you've been great shedding so much light on everything. The last one, again, I think you brought a little bit of this up in the presentation, but maybe just shedding any additional light. The question here is, do you have some examples of the tools like Cloud Init and Ansible, which you mentioned, used for deploying templates and maintaining consistency in application stack deployment?
Yeah, we have all sorts of example. For example, I demo these all the times. I have some public Git repos that even have example fictitious organizations where you can kind of see how it would all plug together. But yeah, you mentioned several of the integration and automation points that we provide. Our local REST API, our fleet level REST API, and a very robust Ansible collections actually certified with Red Hat for support there. So all the pieces are there to do orchestration really from day zero, deploying the cluster, deploying the applications, updating the cluster, updating the applications, kind of full life cycle is all there. And we've got examples, blueprints to get you going. We have services that can set all that up for you if you want that to be taken care of for you as well.
Awesome. Okay, David, I think before we wrap things up, we've one last question for you. Because you have so many resources and you've mentioned, being able to do these demos and that, if someone out there wants to learn more about scale computing and get started right away, how would they do that?
Yeah, I suggest going to the website. We can, schedule an in-person demo. I've got, plenty of resources up there as well. But that would be the place to start. And yeah, we can do a sizing estimate of your current environment, your projects coming up, and make recommendations of where and how we can best help.
Beautiful. Well, amazing. If you in the audience do want to learn more right away, click on the handout tab and snag the data sheet outlining the Scale Computing Hypercore, a highly available and resilient platform for running containers with lower management effort. It's in there. It's a PDF. Honestly, it's short, it's snappy, it's going to give you what you need. There are a couple questions we didn't get covered today, but we will be passing those on to Dave and the team. So if you didn't get your question answered, thank you for throwing it in there. And don't worry, someone will reach out. Again, thank you so much, Dave. This will be a perfect way to follow up, and we'll go from there. Next step, I've got some prizes. So right now we have a $300 Amazon gift card to give away, and a quick reminder that you must be present at the webinar to win. So our very first lucky winner here is Gregory Zurich from Illinois. Congratulations. As always, we'll be in touch about claiming your prize after the webinar. And don't forget that there are still 2 more chances to win an Amazon gift card today, plus the best question gift card from each session. But for now, let's keep zipping right along and jump into our next presentation on the EcoCast. We have got the team from Rubrik, our second and final presenter on today's short yet ever so sweet EcoCast. We've got both Kim Lambert, the principal product evangelist, and Joe Harlan, orchestrated application recovery technical lead. Kim and Joe, thank you so much for being here with us again at the EcoCast. I know you've got some awesome content lined up. So Kim, I'm going to hand things right over to you. The platform is yours.
Thanks so much. Yes. Hi there. I'm Kim Lambert. Happy to be here with you all. So at Rubrik, I am really focused on the ability we have as a data security company to ensure the recoverability of your data as a critical component of your overall IT security strategy. And as part of that, I am the principal product marketing lead for our orchestrated application recovery solution. And I worked with the team who built this solution prior to it being even available to our customers. And now, as it continues to advance and be adopted at an increasing rate, it makes sense to also have somebody else that you'll be hearing from. So you're not only listening to me, you'll also be hearing from our technical go-to-market lead, Joe Harlan. And Joe has over 20 years of experience operating and designing large-scale data center infrastructure environments. And Joe really puts his technical acumen to use, educating folks like you on addressing and overcoming the challenges of modern disaster recovery planning and execution. So what are you going to learn from us today? Well, first of all, we want to teach you how to simplify vSphere recovery from cyber attacks, from application outages, natural disasters. And we want you to know how you can get your business back online as quickly as possible and how to do that as simply as you possibly can. And then, as I mentioned, we've got Joe. Joe's going to show you the latest advancements we're working on in orchestration for disaster recovery, which are designed to enable you to do even more planning before an event actually happens, so during peacetime, as they say, so that you're ready to work for wartime and get your business back online faster. So you will see a great demo from Joe during this as well. All right, let's get into it. First and foremost, as our team brings new solutions to the market, we don't want to do it in a bubble. We don't want to do it in a vacuum. We want to make sure that we thoroughly understand where there's opportunity for improvement for you and where we can bring more value. So throughout the development, throughout the beta phase of orchestrated application recovery, we did over 100 customer interviews trying to really thoroughly understand where we can address soft spots in the market so that we can bring you that more value in terms of not only disaster recovery, but in terms of recovery from what's top of mind right now, cyber attacks. So these are really the key three focus areas that we came to understand were important and what we needed to tackle. So first, consolidation. Do more with your backup. Typically, when you do put an automated recovery solution in place, it's a point solution. So it requires you to store the data twice, to have a separate set of replication, a separate set of VMs or appliances to support that solution. So do more with your backup. We wanted to say, let's make it not just a backup, let's make it business continuity. Let's make it orchestrated protection from cyber attacks. Secondly, operational ease. Let's tear down silos. Let's say instead of having to get your FTEs trained and certified on different point solutions throughout the ecosystem, which can really introduce more cost opportunity for human error and just operational overhead, hey, let's consolidate. Let's bring in operational management for backup, cyber recovery, orchestrated recovery, and so on into one single pane of glass. And that's really the driver overall in terms of our design philosophy. And then lastly, and I think most importantly, is you need to be able to prove your readiness to the business. You need to be able to prove at any point in time that your business is in a position to recover from a cyber attack or a natural disaster or just an outage. It's really important for you, as you know, to be able to prove to your leadership and your organization that you are disaster ready. You are recovery ready. Okay, so now that I've talked to you a little bit about the tenets which orchestrated application and recovery was designed, let's talk about the implementation, why it's really going to be your advantage for recovery from a ransomware attack. So like any good solution, it's built on a strong foundation. In this case, orchestrated recovery is part of our SaaS-based data security platform for immutable append-only backup and recovery, and it supports a zero trust architecture in terms of access. And that platform is Rubrik Security Cloud. Now, with Rubrik Security Cloud, we can actually look at all of your data. We can aggregate all of it. We can give you the data insights as well from your metadata. And this metadata is what powers several applications we've built for this platform. Now, Rubrik solutions keep your data safe, easy to recover in the face of cyber attacks and operational failures. So you can recover the data you need however and whenever you need it to keep your business running. And the solution is organized into three key pillars that are mapped to the United States NIST standard. So you've got data resilience. You want to be able to safeguard your data with secure backups so that it can't be deleted, it can't be compromised or encrypted, and it's always going to be available for you to recover. You got here data observability. So you want to be able to identify when, where, how attacks have impacted systems by continuously being able to scan data over time so compromises can be remediated quickly. And then over here on the far right, this is all data recovery. So you want to be able to quarantine malware. You want to be able to actually avoid reinfection in that recovery process. So recover data quickly with guided file level, object level, application level, system-wide operations so business operations can be restored really quickly. So that's a bit of that. Now, the next step is how do we layer in these solutions? And so let me dive into these three little pillars here. How do we layer in these solutions, these kind of capabilities, while keeping as minimal an on-prem footprint as we possibly can? Well, that's where our SaaS platform comes into play, delivering SaaS-based applications to increase the value of backups that you take with Rubrik. And I'll highlight several of these here today. One of the applications that you see here is ransomware monitoring and investigation. And this capability is is able to learn your data set over time. It can warn you if we see anomalous behavior, and it's a tool that's great for triaging what has been attacked in the event that you get hit by ransomware. Secondly, here, let's focus on data governance or data classification. So understanding, is my sensitive data where I intended it to be? I'm analyzing my data risk, helping to comply with data privacy regulations. But what's more, also being able to quickly understand what data potentially was exfiltrated as the consequence of our cyber attack. Then there's threat hunting. So being able to scan your backups and identify IOCs, indicators of compromise, as part of threat hunting within your ecosystem to see if malware is present based on rules provided to you by your incident management partner. And within this same suite of products in an enterprise solution that we provide to customers is where you'll also find orchestrated application recovery here. So this is part of the solution stack that wants to be round off the back end of an attack by being able to bring your business back online. So if you get hit, now you may be thinking, well, I have orchestrated application recovery today. Why is this different? And it's really in the design. The orchestrated application recovery engine lives within our SaaS platform. We don't consume a footprint within your production environment. So when a hacker tries to attack your backups, they're incapable. They try to attack your virtual environment. We're here at the ready then to support you in orchestrated recovery. And that's when and if you need us. So how do we give you this orchestrated recovery? Now, orchestrated means orderly. So obviously we need to bring things back online in an orderly time fashion, right? So how we do that is via something that we call an application blueprint, or blueprint for short. So think of it as really a comprehensive run book. And that is where you're going to go in as an operations team. You're going to tell us these VMs are representative of a particular application or business service. It's also where you're going to tell us things such as the boot order, which order do these VMs need to come up online, so the application stack comes online in a production ready state. And what resources would you like us to use at your recovery site? What compute storage and otherwise, what postscripts do we need to run? What networking changes need to take place? So think of a blueprint as something that you would design and implement during peacetime so that you're ready for wartime. We can allow you then to have an easy button to bring your applications back online. All right, secondly, as I mentioned earlier, possibly one of the most important aspects of the solution is being able to verify your readiness tests. So failovers, can I test my recovery methodology? I'm very happy to say that since the birth of this solution, our Rubrik customers have had this capability to test and verify readiness standing, the entire application stack online, exercising all of the same mechanics of a real recovery event, and being able to interact with the application, but doing so in isolation so that it doesn't negatively impact production. And furthermore, we even include PDF reports that are boilerplated and downloadable on an event by event basis to really ease that administrative burden. So DR testing becomes a lot easier. You're able to produce that readiness report whenever your business asks you to do so. And then lastly, flexibility. It's really about dealer's choice here. So we want to give you the flexibility to leverage what solution you think best meets your needs and your strategy. So in addition to being able to recover locally, being able to do an orchestrated local recovery of your application, which is key for for cyber attacks, isolated cyber attacks. We also support the ability to fail over between two physical locations. So you have the ability to fail over from your on-prem to VMware Cloud, whether it be on AWS, Azure, or even Google for that matter. So it's all about flexibility, being able to look into the future of giving you driving cloud economics in your recovery, but also supporting what may be the most important thing to you. So prem to prem or just local recovery. So there is that flexibility there for all of the recovery options. So now let's take all of this and put it into context. I think this is really interesting to explain about how this solution, as well as some of the others that I mentioned within Rubrik Security Cloud at the beginning of our discussion, how does that recover your business faster? So to give you a little bit of insight into what happens when you're a Rubrik customer, we have a team inside Rubrik. It's a specialized team that we call the ransomware response team. So everyone who's a Rubrik customer has access to this team. If you utter the word ransomware, we're just going to start engaging in a series of events behind the scenes to support you. So first, you're going to get a technical person assigned to your ticket. You're going to get a TAM. So additionally, you're going to get ransomware specific support engineers that are supporting your case. You'll get ransomware or specific backend engineers supporting your case, as well as executive visibility on the case to make sure that we're servicing you as best as we possibly can. And from the team's perspective, working in product, they absolutely tell me that they love engaging with this team because they get to learn from people who are on the front lines, helping our clients recover from attacks. So it's a great resource to have. And what I'd like to share with you first is what a macro series of events looks like. So what does an attack look like from our perspective with our clients? What are they experiencing as an event happens? So first and foremost, say our client has gone down hard. Unfortunately, these ransomware attacks, they may not encrypt all of your data, but they're certainly very capable of bringing down your environment. Or they may have detected anomalous activity. Next, once our client knows it's ransomware, they engage their incident management partner. So they can go through a series of checklists to go and identify malware. They can figure out what happened. How can we plug holes? How can we prevent it from happening again? But more importantly, how can we get our business back online? All right, then recovery begins. So this series of events that I've just described to you can take weeks or months. It really is a long and arduous process, unfortunately. But at Rubrik, what we want to do is accelerate this, right? So we want to minimize that time that it can take, and you may have experience with that, as much as we possibly can. And this is where the enterprise suite that we're able to offer customers comes into play. So first and foremost, let's use the tools to understand what has actually been encrypted versus what is down as a consequence of the attack. And that's really key to understanding where you need to focus your data recovery operations versus your scanning activities or ransomware investigation here that can help you with that and quickly understand which workloads have been encrypted. Secondly, we mentioned threat hunting. So how about you take Yara rules and stick them directly into the Rubrik platform, into Security Cloud. Let us scan your backups on your behalf and tell you when we see these IOCs, these indicators of compromise, so that we can automate our way into understanding what is my last known good backup, what is eligible for recovery. And then lastly, of course, bringing your business back online, orchestrating recovery, and that's where this solution comes into play. So let's bring your application stack back online in an orderly fashion, ready, a production state, right? So it's production ready. And we're limiting the amount of folks within your organization that you need to engage in order to bring everything back up and running, bringing your business back up online. So if you think about this in the context of a workflow, it's really end-to-end integrated ransomware recovery. And that's what we're going to continue to bolster over time with this product. So it's a great solution, with the goal being, let's minimize your downtime, let's get you back online as quickly as we can. So people have been finding some great success with this. The customers are absolutely loving it. So with that, now that I've talked this up, I want to actually hand things over to Joe Harlan, who I introduced earlier, and he is one of our technical folks, and he is the go-to-market lead for orchestrated application recovery. And what I think is really interesting is he's going to be able to show you one of our newer capabilities that we've been working on. And we've introduced orchestrated application recovery, and I'm excited for you guys to be able to see what is going on, what's the latest, what is the power of this application that it can actually do for you. So without further ado, here you go, Joe.
All right, folks, let's take a look here at this new feature that we're calling recovery plans. Let me give you a little preface, though, before we dive right in. So in this environment, it's a small demo lab, so I only have a couple of blueprint objects. These are really web stores. They're just little WordPress stacks that actually produce these little clothing sites. Nothing too terribly exciting to look at, although some of those prices are eye-watering. But these are the two applications, essentially, that those two blueprints represent, and that's what we'll be failing over between the two sites. So in fact, here, I'm actually going to be failing these workloads into a vSphere environment that's running in the cloud. This is an Azure VMware Solution software-defined data center. And in fact, we can see the 4 VMs that make up this application pre-staged here using our RTO optimization feature of minimize recovery time. So these are fully formed virtual machines. From a capacity perspective alone, we have taken their memory and their network away as a safety feature, but these VMs are ready for a rapid recovery as quickly as we can make it happen. And so when I move to fail over these workloads, we're going to see those VMs be used in place. Now, rather than failing these two over by simply checking the box and clicking on failover, I'm going to take advantage of the new feature that is recovery plans. Now imagine, if you will, for a moment, a data center with several more blueprints than you see here, with quite a bit more complicated environment. Maybe several core infrastructure services, some ancillary services shared by several of the application environments. This type of environment is not uncommon in most large customers, and the idea of trying to fail over the entirety of a data center may seem daunting, given that breadth of systems and solutions that need to be maintained in the event of a disaster. So what the recovery plan is meant to do is allow me to take a series of blueprints and create a plan for their recovery, such that I can sequence the recovery in the opposite site. In this case, I've created a recovery plan from just my 2 blueprints, pretty modest here, but I'm calling it the Haverford Group Web Store Failover Plan. Let's take a look inside. Here we can see the 2 blueprints that I've added, as well as a boot order. Really, one of the big deal items here as part of recovery plans is that we can tell the system in what order we want this series of blueprints to fail over. Now, I could have more than one blueprint in the pole position in that 0 boot order group and have it fail over first, along with a couple of others, probably where I'd put my core infrastructure services, followed by any applications that really are kind of the key applications in the environment and depend upon those infrastructure services in order to operate, followed by maybe some less important workloads or other workloads that depend upon the ones that were failed over prior. So the idea here is that we can premeditate this plan for recovery that includes the sequence of events that need to occur in order so that everything starts gracefully and is ready for user use. So for now, in order to launch this event, I'm going to go ahead and click on the action button and say recovery. And this will take me to the recovery wizard. Here we can see the 2 blueprints that are part of the plan. I'm automatically offered the latest recovery point in time, but as usual, I could pick a previous point in time if so desired. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stick with this one. And then I'm just going to tell it to abort and clean up, or rather continue with errors, since this is a real failover event, in the event that something goes wrong with configuring the network or running the postscripts that are used to reconnect the front end of the application to the backend database. Clicking next, I'll be asked for the confirmation phrase of recovery plan. Click confirm, and this job is on its way. Coming back to the failovers that we launched as part of that recovery plan, we can see here that the 2 blueprints that were members of that recovery plan have completed their failover recovery. So now we can come out here to the Azure VMware Solution site where they failed over 2, and we can pick on the IP addresses for each of the 2 web servers. And we can see that those web stores have been returned to service. And there we have it. Both of our blueprints were successful in failing over, and both of the application stacks have completed their recovery. With orchestrated application recovery, you can recover several applications in a defined sequence as part of a recovery plan. This is really the power of the automation that the recovery plan brings. It doesn't require your operators to understand intimate details about the environment. It allows those details to be captured in a premeditated form so that they can be launched anytime they're needed.
All right, awesome, Joe. Thanks so much for giving us that demo. And everyone, what I'd like to do now is just let's bring the entire session back into focus with those key 3 areas that we started off with. So what did we say that we set out to do? Well, first of all, do more with your backup. Make your data backups work for you. Make them more valuable. Consolidate, minimize the amount of data pulls and replication systems. So, all of those things that, you may need to maintain and pay for right now. Consolidate operationally the places where your operators need to interact with different solutions too, right? So drive down certification costs. Streamline operations by consolidating the places in which ops teams and infosec teams need to interact, and you can do that with this product. And then lastly here, put yourself in a position to be able to prove your disaster recovery readiness. So do all the work during peacetime so that you're ready for wartime. And orchestrated application recovery is really a key component of enabling you to do this. So with that, I thank you very much for your time today. I hope you found value in it. We look forward to further proving to you that Rubrik has your back if you need to secure your environment holistically against data loss. And in the meantime, we have other resources for you to check out that are in direct relation to orchestrated application recovery, including a technical white paper with all the details, and a blog as well with a deep dive in for the ins and outs of this solution and how it works. All right, so let's do some Q&A. What's the RPO time like on average? Yeah, good question. So with orchestrated application recovery, you're going to be able to make a DR plan, disaster recovery plan, consisting of multiple blueprints, like we talked about earlier, and with the ability to fail over an entire data center over at the click of a button. So rather than kicking off a bunch of uncoordinated jobs, which can really compromise fast recovery. So we're well within the most stringent requirements for acceptable timeframes for data loss across different VM tiers. And with the integration that we have with Rubrik Continuous Data Protection, we're able to offer near synchronous RPOs, so typically within about 60 seconds. And so we're able to, when we talk to a lot of customers, meet almost all their requirements for acceptable data loss. Now, what's the coverage for different workloads within this solution? Oh, okay. Yeah, good question too. So right now, Rubrik has first focused primarily on prem-to-prem DR for VMs, local ransomware recovery as well, so in-place recovery, and also the need that many customers have been asking for failover to the cloud. So with Azure VMware Solution, AVS, as well as VMC on AWS, VMware Cloud on AWS. So that is what we cover today, and we're having a lot of great success with it. All right, third question. If you're replicating to a secondary site already, how is that best practice leverage? Sure, so I'll explain it like this. If you're a Rubrik customer, you become a Rubrik customer, you'd be backing up your data with us and you're replicating VMs, as you may be doing now. Yes, but the additional value of orchestrated application recovery is the ability to bring your applications back online in the fastest, the most optimal way in the case of a DR event. With orchestrated application recovery, Rubrik can just simply add on a layer of automated orchestration to that practice and to your recovery. And as you saw, you can predefine that boot order. You can leverage scripts and network configurations to reduce the manual work and room for error. To be able to recover in a big way, fast. So you're getting this methodical, this repeatable DR that recognizes dependencies across VMs. It can save you a lot of time for recovery.
Thank you so much, Kim and Joe. What a great presentation. I know you covered a bit of Q&A, but we still have a few questions in the queue that we'll have to get followed up after the webinar. For everyone out there in the audience, you'll see that I put up a poll question for you. Again, this is your wish list, your easy button. You want good information, so click on your preference and the team at Rubrik will hand it right to you. If you want to learn more right away, click into the handout tab and snag the white paper from Rubrik. Right there, we've got the Zero Trust Data Security for Dummies. What a perfect way to explore everything that we just heard from Kim and from Joe. All right, now I've got two more prizes, $300 Amazon gift cards, and a quick reminder that you must be present at the webinar to win. So our next lucky winners here with us today are first, Ali Vafa from Maryland and Anthony Jones from Tennessee. Congratulations. And just to recap all three winners from the session today, first, we had Gregory Zurich from Illinois, Ali Vafa from Maryland, and Anthony Jones from Tennessee. As always, we will be in touch about claiming your prize after the webinar, plus that best question gift card from each session. If you are on the webinar today and you would like to chat with us about presenting on a future summit, EcoCast, or MegaCast webinar, we would love to hear from you. Reach out via email at connect@actualtechmedia.com. And with that, and on behalf of the Actual Tech Media team, I want to thank all of our speakers from Scale Computing and Rubrik for making this EcoCast possible and for being with us here today. And a special thank you to all of you for attending and asking some great questions and making my first ever EcoCast a screaming success. I had so much fun delving into the landscape of virtualized and containerized environments with you all. I hope you have all gotten some interesting ideas and tips, and maybe you're leaving feeling powered up and excited, knowing that there are incredible solutions for you to employ. Most of all, though, I hope you all had fun with me today. I really do thank you again for your participation, your interaction. And before you take off, I suggest marking your calendar tomorrow with another EcoCast hosted by yours truly, Application Security, Protecting Modern, Traditional, and Cloud Apps from Development to End of Life. So that's Friday, February 2nd at 12 p.m. Eastern and 9 a.m. Mountain. I hope to see you all again soon. And until then, have an absolutely magical rest of your day.